Now, the crucifixion and escape scene, like, the music in this is wonderful. The nudity in this is fitting. That must have taken a lot of guts. Like the various uses of the apartment as the setting are genius. But back to the nudity, there is some nudity in here, but it fits because it fits in the story. And in the book, Rambo is naked for a long period of time. Not so much in this movie, but in the book he's naked for maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours of the novel. So, if they were going to remake this movie, which Zachary has done, it only seems fit to have the nudity in there. I don't think it was a bad choice. I actually think it was a good choice. Yes, there's even some full frontal buff nudity for all you lovely lady listeners in the audience. He was writing to me that he had problems with certain organizations for that and had to remove from certain places that cut of the film. That he ended up making a family-orientated version without the nudity, or parts of it were blocked or cropped out or blurred. In the trailer, it's blurred. But I wonder if that family version is included on the DVD. I don't know, like on the physical release of the DVD. It didn't bother me. I thought it actually helped the movie, and it showed some guts and fearless filmmaking, indeed. And the crucifixion scene was just handled so brilliantly. That shower snake scene again is just brilliant. The escape is crazy cool, because the blending, in which it's done, gratifully and gratefully tricks your brain through some awesome acting to thinking you're amongst multiple actors. And I'm so thankful that it works, perfectly through not just this scene but the entire feature. I love that box fan Huey copter footage. Once again, he utilized so many great everyday things, and it really comes across as gold. Like the many uses of props in this is impressive and inventive as well. I love the Orville chase scene with the dogs, and the ski mask dogs were a brilliant surprise. Is it just me, or during the mountain descent bit I saw first blood on the cliff face? It was a little blurry, so maybe it wasn't, but I thought I saw it there. The tiny novel footlines to map out the scenes from the novel are lovely and very nostalgic as well. And once again, Zach really does things here that, really inventive. Things that normal people wouldn't do, or normal filmmakers wouldn't do. And I think it just made it for a more enjoyable ride, because he really went all the way with this. If he didn't have something, he figured out a way to make it so that he would have something to use for a scene. It's just really, really creative, and it just really says something to people. People can really take away from it that do what you have to do to make it work, and it will shine. So I really love that. I really love it. Now, the poster for the film, which is on the DVD, I'm guessing it's on the DVD, you know, like the title for the movie as well. It's from a snippet where Teasel loses Orville, and Orville's like a second father to Teasel. So there's something great here, you know. It's very powerful. Flooding with love for the kid, seen below, with Teasel in absolute rage above, you know, in all his pain and anguish. I'm gonna fucking kill that kid, pretty much in his mind. It's a great catalyst comparison kind of thing for the end, you know, when he was flooding with love for Rambo. It's actually, in my opinion, the perfect picture for the cover of the movie. It really goes about the madness, you know, and the moral of the story, which is that in war no one wins, and that hate is akin to love, and many points about understanding not just your foe but your fellow man. So I really thought that was a beautiful touch. A really beautiful touch. You know, there was just tons of brilliant little surprises in this movie that just made it so enjoyable. That picture I used for the Christmas special, the part 1 of the Christmas special. Like I found it on Google search, and I put it as the background picture. The other picture is Rambo, for part 2, sorry, of the Christmas special, is Rambo driving away, blowing the shit out of that town. So yeah, you know. So Zack incorporates and does things in this adaptation that I don't think anyone else could do or get away with. You know, once you're in, it's total suspension of disbelief. And I can't thank him enough for making the most out of very little, and to provide us with such rich environment. The framing alone makes his movie a masterpiece. You know, he truly sets up a piece that dazzles the eye and illuminates the mind, as George Costanza would say. You know, 4 shots for 4 men. He wastes no time, and the chase scene between Rambo and Teasel, the first chase, is, well, where it turns around on Teasel, is amazing and hysteric, and it's just awesome. Like, the slow motion was wicked, and some of this is so accurate. You know, the 6-shot fire, the puking, the brambles, the collapse, Rambo's revelation scene is very touching. You know, I actually really wanted to cry along with Rambo during that revelation scene. It's really put together nice. Like, the slow-mo really helps to push the tiredness and the torment, as well as the loss of control of the situation. You know, something that should take 2 minutes in the novel, or 5 minutes in the novel, ended up taking like the whole night almost, or like a 2-hour, 3-hour chase. It was just really brilliant how he fits all that together. Really making use of the time that he has. It's just really great. He sells Teasel beautifully, and I kind of felt like this was more Teasel's movie. Like, just to point out the poster again, this is more Teasel than Rambo. Then later on, after I watched the movie, when I was watching the documentary making of the movie, they actually brought that out, that it was a movie more on Teasel's point of view than Rambo's point of view. But I love how in both interpretations it's kind of unclear who the hero and who the villain is, and how nobody, really wins in a situation like this. So, I was, as soon as I saw Rambo standing at that gas pump in the beginning, I was hooked. And then the scene where Teasel's driving the cruiser and he turns down the radio knob, and the soundtrack does all beautiful soundtrack, by the way. I'm gonna ask him what that was, because it's just brilliant. But soundtrack fades away, and I was totally brought into the movie. Like, at that point, I remember just sitting there watching it, and it's very early on, maybe like not even a minute in, and I remember at that point saying, okay, I'm totally absorbed in this whole world, in the setup, and how everything was fitting together. And I just remember sitting there going, man, I know I'm gonna watch this whole movie, and I could tell right now, at that moment in time, that I didn't want the movie to end. At that point, I was wishing the movie wasn't an hour and 48 minutes. I was hoping for the 10-hour novel ride. And I got it, but in a shorter version, of course. And being so lost and involved in the viewing, that hour and 48 felt like 10 minutes. Because it was so brilliantly packed together. And yeah, I was just like, man, that was incredible. And it didn't disappoint. It did not disappoint. It was way better than I thought it was going to be, and I set the bar very high. Like, I set the for a what do you want to call that? For an indie film, I set the bar very high because the trailer blew me away, and it actually went beyond my expectation, and that's a first. Like, it's really hard for me to enjoy any film past like the 90s. As soon as like CGI started taking over, in the beginning it was used for great films like The Abyss and Terminator 2, for example, where the CGI was there to enhance the practical. So pretty much anything over the year 2000 I didn't really like. It really says a lot that this movie, Flooding with Love for the Kid, really just blew my head off. It really just it just totally kicked my ass, and I was just happy watching it all the way through. Because as an artist myself, I could see the labor of love in it, and it really just didn't disappoint. It was just a joy.